Welcome to this deep dive into macroeconomics by Gregory Mankiw, one of the most widely used textbooks for understanding large-scale economic forces. Whether you're a student, an enthusiast, or just someone curious about how the economy functions, this summary will break down the fundamental principles that shape our world. We'll explore national income, economic growth, unemployment, inflation, monetary policy, fiscal policy, and the role of government in stabilizing economies. By the end, you'll have a solid grasp of how economists analyze the complex interactions that drive entire economies. Let's get started. Macroeconomics is the study of the overall economic environment, focusing on broad aggregates such as GDP, inflation, and unemployment. Mankiw's book introduces the fundamental concepts that define macroeconomic thought and explains the various tools economists use to analyze economic performance. He begins by discussing the principles of economic thinking, emphasizing the importance of trade-offs, opportunity costs, rational decision-making, and market efficiency. Economics, he argues, is not just about numbers but about choices and incentives that influence how resources are allocated. A key theme in macroeconomics is the measurement of national income. Gross domestic product, GDP, serves as the primary indicator of economic performance, representing the total market value of all goods and services produced within a country in a given period. Mankiw breaks GDP down into its components: consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports. He explains how GDP can be measured in different ways, through the income approach and the expenditure approach, both of which ultimately yield the same result. While GDP is a useful tool, it has limitations, as it does not account for non-market transactions, income inequality, or environmental costs. Economic growth is another critical focus. Over time, economies expand as productivity increases, driven by factors such as technological advancements, capital investment, and education. Mankiw explores the solo growth model, which highlights the importance of saving and investment in long-term economic growth. He also discusses the role of government policies in fostering growth, emphasizing that stable institutions, sound monetary policy, and open trade can enhance productivity. However, growth is not always steady, as economies experience business cycles, periods of expansion and contraction that affect employment, production, and inflation. Unemployment is one of the most visible indicators of economic health. Mankiw distinguishes between different types of unemployment: frictional, structural, and cyclical. Frictional unemployment arises when workers transition between jobs, while structural unemployment occurs when industries decline, leaving workers without the necessary skills for emerging sectors. Cyclical unemployment, on the other hand, is tied to economic downturns. Governments attempt to mitigate unemployment through labor market policies, unemployment benefits, and fiscal stimulus measures, but these interventions come with trade-offs that economists debate. Inflation, the rate at which the general price level rises, erodes purchasing power and affects savings, wages, and investment. Mankiw introduces the concept of the Consumer Price Index, CPI, and the GDP deflator as measures of inflation. He explores the causes of inflation, including demand pull inflation, which occurs when aggregate demand outpaces supply, and cost push inflation, which results from rising production costs. Inflation expectations also play a significant role, as businesses and consumers adjust their behavior based on anticipated price increases. Central banks, particularly the Federal Reserve, use monetary policy tools such as interest rates and open market operations to control inflation. Monetary policy is one of the most powerful tools available to governments for stabilizing the economy. Mankiw explains the role of central banks in controlling the money supply and influencing interest rates to regulate economic activity. When inflation is high, central banks may raise interest rates to cool down excessive spending and borrowing. Conversely, during economic downturns, they may lower interest rates to stimulate growth. The effectiveness of monetary policy depends on factors such as consumer confidence, banking stability, and global economic conditions. Fiscal policy, controlled by governments, involves taxation and government spending to influence economic activity. Mankiw discusses Keynesian economics, which argues that during recessions, governments should increase spending and cut taxes to boost demand. Conversely, in times of economic expansion, governments should reduce spending and increase taxes to prevent overheating. However, fiscal policy is often constrained by political considerations, budget deficits, and long-term debt concerns. The debate between Keynesian and classical economists revolves around the effectiveness of government intervention in managing economic cycles. The interplay between fiscal and monetary policy is crucial in addressing economic crises. Mankiw analyzes historical examples, such as the Great Depression and the 2008 financial crisis, to illustrate how coordinated policy responses can mitigate economic downturns. During the 2008 crisis, central banks implemented aggressive monetary policies, including near-zero interest rates and quantitative easing, while governments enacted stimulus packages to prevent further economic collapse. However, these measures sparked debates about inflation risks, asset bubbles, and the long-term consequences of high public debt. International trade and finance play a vital role in macroeconomics. Mankiw explains the benefits of trade, comparative advantage, and the impact of tariffs and trade barriers. Countries engage in trade to specialize in industries where they have a competitive advantage, leading to greater efficiency and lower prices. However, trade policies, currency fluctuations, and protectionist measures can affect global economic stability. Exchange rates influence trade balances, and monetary policies in one country can have significant spillover effects on other economies. The role of government in managing the economy is a topic of ongoing debate. Some economists argue for minimal intervention, believing that markets naturally self-correct, while others advocate for active policies to address market failures, inequality, and instability. Mankiw explores the concept of externalities, such as pollution, which justify government regulation. He also discusses the design of tax systems, highlighting the trade-offs between efficiency and equity. Progressive taxation, corporate taxes, and government spending priorities shape economic outcomes and influence incentives. Macroeconomic models help economists analyze economic fluctuations and predict future trends. Mankiw introduces models such as the aggregate demand-aggregate supply (ADAS) model, which illustrates how price levels and output interact. The ISLM model, another key tool, shows the relationship between interest rates and real GDP. These models provide insights into how policy decisions affect the broader economy, though real-world complexities often make precise predictions challenging. The financial system is central to macroeconomic stability. Banks, financial markets, and institutions facilitate the flow of capital, enabling investment in economic growth. Mankiw explains the role of the banking system in creating money through fractional reserve banking. He also examines financial crises, which often stem from excessive risk-taking, inadequate regulation, and financial imbalances. The 2008 crisis underscored the need for better financial oversight to prevent future collapses. Expectations and economic behavior shape macroeconomic outcomes. Consumers, businesses, and investors make decisions based on expectations of future inflation, interest rates, and growth. Mankiw discusses the rational expectations theory, which suggests that people incorporate all available information when making economic choices. This theory has implications for policy effectiveness, as anticipated government actions may have reduced impacts if individuals adjust their behavior in advance. Economic policy debates are ongoing, with different schools of thought advocating various approaches. Classical economists emphasize free markets, while Keynesians support active government intervention. Monetarists, influenced by Milton Friedman, focus on controlling the money supply to manage inflation. Newer theories, such as modern monetary theory, MMT, challenge traditional views on government spending and debt. These debates shape policy decisions and influence economic strategies worldwide. In conclusion, macroeconomics is a dynamic and evolving field that affects everyone. Mankiw's book provides a comprehensive framework for understanding economic principles, policy challenges, and real-world applications. By studying macroeconomics, individuals can better grasp how economic forces influence their lives, from employment opportunities to purchasing power and investment decisions. As economies face new challenges, from technological disruptions to climate change, macroeconomic knowledge remains crucial in shaping policies that promote stability, growth, and prosperity. Thank you for watching. If you found this summary helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into economic and financial topics. See you in the next video.